Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Everybody, good morning, and thank you for joining us on this exciting panel, as well as we are, I believe, on the behalf of the panel here, honored to be part of this beautiful event that talks about people and humans and the health and well-being. So first of all, hello everyone. And we saw at the beginning of this event, the announcement of Dubai being one of, the top cities or countries in the world that has achieved health and wellness as their priority in their agenda, and have, of course, led the way and paved the way, not just for sustainable buildings, but obviously putting the people up front. And it feels great to be part of this nation and the developing works. Now, when it comes to the future of buildings, as Paul has mentioned earlier, the core is the humans. And for that to integrate it with the real estate, obviously, is an important part. So let me kick off this panel discussion with Mr. Marwan here. We've seen the strategy of RERA, you're trying to embed the health and wellness as part of the buildings. But why is it so important for RERA, and where do you see the future of health and well-being being embedded as part of the sector?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Great to be here with the audience. As Paul said, more than 10 years ago, we talked about this concept here in Dubai when we started RERA. And everybody was thinking it's only a cosmetics or a gym or something like that. Nobody thought about it as a well-being or taking care of a human at that time. But if we look at Dubai real estate today, it's more than just the buildings or structures. It is quality of life, a well-being standard, and this is what Dubai offered in its real estate market. As you know, we have more than 200 nationalities who are enjoying our nice and beautiful communities. At the time of pandemic, it taught us a lot about how people are spending time in their homes because their homes become their offices because of the pandemic restricting them from leaving homes. So we came to a very critical point where people would like to know, are we staying in a healthy building or a healthy common area where our kids are playing and restricted to play over there? We said we want to make sure that each dirham has been spent in cleaning, servicing, all those companies who came and sold their services at that time to make sure the building is well sanitized. And we came and we said, okay, we required a third party, independent, credible organization that can give us the services. And with our cooperation with Delos, we came with a seal for the building to be authenticated and approved as a healthy, well-being building. Thanks to the effort of the team and to the management company and the developer, to be honest, that they recognize the importance of this movement. It's not just announce the project and do a campaign for sale and just sell it. They believed in this certificate and they wanted to give more their residents and their investors to maximize the value of real estate. Today, the norm is everybody is looking for the seal whenever they buy a property. The awareness is there that if this seal is there, the price of the real estate might increase. So it's become a good practice that everybody is looking to make sure that his building is being tested and approved as a well-being community. It wasn't a very difficult exercise to convince the management company that this will maximize the value of real estate and it will give confidence to all residents that they are living in a well-being tested community. The experience was there. Documentation was a lengthy process, as the management company told us. And what we did the test in our building and land department to make sure that this will work for the others. So we approved land department building as the first case when our team examined and they worked through the process. They prepared all the documentation required. And I told Tikha to be tough on our team. I don't want the credit to be easy, because once we convince and we recognize land department as a sealed building, we said now we can roll it down to the other management company. So we faced the challenge ourselves in land department. And alhamdulillah, with the help of the management company and the developer, today we have this number of approved building with the seal in Dubai. The team will give later on the details how we achieved this in a large scale with the help of Delos and the MOU that we signed together early. And I am sure today this is giving every international investor who is coming to Dubai that he got an approved organization testing his property before he moves in, or his tenant moved in, or his co-worker move and work in Dubai.
All right. It's interesting to see how the dynamics is changing. Like, I remember a few years ago, as I think I would agree with Paul at the beginning, everybody was just talking about sustainability, and we would just, talk about, how well is the performance of the building in terms of energy, in terms of water, the resources, and now, the indoor air quality and the other aspects such as nutrition, the light, the sound, the fitness levels, all of that has changed. So I'm happy to hear about the RERA strategy and how it's being implemented into your projects. Well done to you. But it also, you've touched upon the pandemic. So if you may, Paul, I might ask you that we've seen the change, or perhaps the common community has become more aware of the health and well-being post-pandemic, and we're seeing a trend now of employees demanding flexibility in the workplace. They're demanding healthy working environments, not just from the physical aspects, but also from the mental, being. But at the same time, it's easy for us to measure in terms of sustainability how we could assess energy, water, like the performance metrics. How do we then measure the impact of health and well-being on the occupant, may it be a resident, a visitor, or anyone who visits that building? And how do you see that has actually changed pre-pandemic versus post-pandemic?
Great, yeah. The pandemic taught a lot of us many things. One thing that we all learned was that what surrounds us matters. What we touch matters, what we breathe matters, at times how we congregate indoors matters. And unfortunately, it took a global pandemic to bring to light some things that we've known for a very long time. Number one, indoor air quality is 2 to 5 times worse than outdoor air quality anywhere you go in the world. We're not hiding from pollution by going inside. It's in fact worse. The air doesn't circulate. Our water, whether it comes from a clean source or not, it runs through infrastructure and pipes before it gets to our taps. Our lighting is not conducive to a proper balanced circadian rhythm. The natural sun patterns are really what our bodies are supposed to be exposed to, so static light is not. And to your question, coming out of the pandemic, clearly office workers are demanding more. They have leverage in a sense where they feel, okay, well, health and safety, my health and safety matters. I'm going to insist on third-party verified sources. But what we're already seeing is this opens up a tremendous opportunity to go further, and particularly go further with sensory technology and transparency. Measurable preconditions of air quality, water quality, lighting, temperature, acoustics, getting people to understand that with very, very simple advances and fairly costless at this point, ability to be more transparent with that information, we can create spaces that people feel empowered because they have the detail and understanding. Even down to hyper-localized temperature, for instance, where it's interesting through our work, the female condition and the male condition have a 4-degree Fahrenheit difference. Females tend to be cooler in offices than males. It's a biological component there. Again, but if we can use localized sensory technology, better understanding from a standardized process as to what measurements matter, and give that transparent information, that's what's going to continue to get people comfortable and even inspired to be inside buildings. It's not just, do I feel good going back? It's, no, I actually want to be there. I want to be in a place that is working in my health and well-being all day long. As we mentioned or discussed earlier, the Well Health Safety Rating is the beginning of a longer journey of many well programs, including a well performance rating, which gets into that measurable understanding of those IEQ components. So I think it's a wonderful time for the built environment to not only transform, but to catch up to what we should have been doing all along, which is recognizing that this space is for us, along with the planet, and given that, we need to give people the information to get them inspired that being in this space is good for them.
All right, thank you. Rob, picking up from there, as a developer, do you feel like this is actually true? Like a lot of your tenants now are requesting the, having, let's say, a certified office or building, or even just generally like having embedded health and wellness into any project of yours. And how did that translate even in what are the major features that you have embedded as part of the ICD Brookfield Dubai project?
Thanks for that. So sustainability is really a key principle for Brookfield, being a large owner of real estate across the globe. And as you've heard on the panel today, sustainability is not just about one factor. Perhaps 10 years ago, sustainability was about energy rating and environmental, but it now is about encompassing all of the aspects of the experience with the building, which includes the environmental aspect, includes the health and safety aspect, and it's the people aspect. So at Brookfield, we call it placemaking, and really enhancing the experience that the users have on a daily basis with the real estate, and making people want to be at the building, in the office. So we address each of those from an environmental perspective. We very early on targeted a LEED Platinum rating, which really focuses on the energy consumption that the building utilizes, and we have very high specification glass at ICD Brookfield Place, which has reduced the energy by more than 30% above industry standards. Water reuse, we harvest the condensation from the fan coil units for the irrigation, so we use no mains water for irrigation at ICD Brookfield Place. We have a large landscaped area, which was always key for us. And then really from a health and well-being perspective, Brookfield were and are a very early adopter of the Well Health and Safety Rating, and rolled it out across all of our real estate in North America. I think we were one of the first to be certified in the region. And that again was an endorsement to our tenants and our users that there is a protocol, there's a system, and there's a confidence that when you come to the building, we comply with that. I think there's a bigger picture as well, which is in terms of the placemaking, and that was brought in very early in the design. We partnered with Foster & Partners, and we always wanted to create a real estate that created a sense of place. So at ICD Brookfield Place, we have what we call the Summer Garden, which is really a contribution to civic space where not only the users of the building, but anybody can come and really enjoy this wonderful space, which is healthy. We regularly measure indoor air quality, and we actually are 80% above standards, and that, I guess, is the benefit of being new real estate. We got the latest technology. We will actually talk about something that we're looking at, a pilot with Delos on air filters, which we'll talk about later. And then, of course, we have an arts and events team that this year we've had 120 odd events at the building, which really attracts people to the building. So, our tenants have been struggling with how do we get the workforce back to the office post the pandemic, and that's our part in helping, making it an active, lively place. The amenity is really curated so that it's early in the morning, lunchtime, dinner time, on into the night. F&B. We have partnered with gyms and fitness providers so that you can do exercise at the building. And so sustainability is really encompassing all of those factors into what we as developers deliver in our real estate.
But in that case, like, how would you future plan it, right? I mean, nature of this industry is always there's a new technology, there's a new thing all the time for us to consider. How is it then that you would tackle on, let's say, sustainability or the health and well-being or people placemaking as part of your developments? So what would that mean in terms of future of the building itself?
So I think the systems that we plug into in terms of the air conditioning systems, I think if you look historically, buildings were designed around one service provider, whereas now with technology that's available, you really can design the building so it's agnostic, and you have a management platform that plugs into multiple service providers, which really gives you the ability to be completely flexible, not tied into a system that only sends you down one path. So again, I guess we're fortunate with time. The later you start this process, the better the technologies are. But what we've found is that having an operation team on the ground from day one, early in the design, we've managed to set the systems up from a very agnostic perspective, that we're not reliant on a service provider, and we can be very flexible.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But I also noticed, that a lot of the driving factor in this is how, I believe ICT Brookfield are leading the way, but there are a lot of other public and private corporations who are now embedding the people aspect and the social aspect as part of their corporate values. I believe that is how things got triggered. And if you allow me to just go back to Paul, we've been reading a lot of the let's say how well contributes to the ESGs, especially the S part, So if you could elaborate a little bit more on that, and what does that mean to a developer such as ICT Brookfield or any other government, public or private organization?
Yeah, great. The wonderful thing about the WELL standard in general is it all fits together, whether the sub-ratings or the full standard, and it allows for opportunities for developers and landlords to achieve features that help tenants achieve features that even work towards policy. And I can tell you that just this year alone, there have been almost 100, actually call it 75 of the 125 Fortune 500 clients that have achieved the WELL ratings and certifications, prominently featuring in their annual sustainability and ESG reports their achievements of the WELL certifications and ratings. WELL has become a benchmark for materiality, mapping to KPIs primarily in that S bucket when you consider human and social capital management. Some in the E bucket, some in the G bucket, but WELL has really become a benchmark globally for material reporting on ESG, mapping to KPIs that are so consistent with human and social capital management, and most specifically allowing landlords and large portfolio owners to achieve and enable programs and features that enable their tenants and their corporate occupiers to report out materially on ESG as well.
All right, thank you. Well, what I'm hearing here is that, obviously people, their health, their well-being, be it inside the building or even outside the building, because the built environment is a combination of both at the end of the day. And the WELL standard does touch upon the outdoor factors. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty much interesting. And for us, I mean, I come from a technical background, and it's always about building that resiliency and that adaptability and the future planning, of course, as part of, any project that we would undertake. Now, I believe that, I mean, Anas, you joined me in that technical background, and Stantec is very strong when it comes to the healthcare sector. And the healthcare sector is obviously one of the challenging ones when we want to come to create such, highly performing indoor qualities. So what do you do to come about it, and how do you see it, in terms of the projects that you may have here versus worldwide?
No, thank you. So hospitals are interesting structures, the facilities. They're an ecosystem. In a small or medium-sized hospital, you might have 1,000 workers and patients. And when we work with our clients to design these facilities, at the center of the design are the patient's outcome and the patient's experience. Mm-hmm. We work with our clients. Everybody who goes to the hospital, I believe, wants to get treated well, have no complications, and go home quickly, right? And I'll speak about the future trends in the design. In the future trends, Paul, genetic modification now is possible. So technology is disrupting hospital healthcare providers, the way they operate. And one of the future trends in designing hospitals is to make sure that the hospitals are capable of adopting new technologies. There's new trends in telemedicine, where you need a smaller hospital but better facilities. Not everybody needs to be in the same space. Data is important. Patients' data, using data, genetic records available to advise the healthcare providers. So, and when we design our professionals on a technical side, our IT communications specialists are now involved from the beginning with the equipment suppliers to design. So that's a future trend. The second and important future trend that our clients are asking for has nothing to do with technology. I'll start by a question. How many of you look forward to going to a hospital? Raise your hand, please. Nobody, right? Because it's such a stressful experience. Our vision of a hospital is that you go and you lie in a bed where they hook you up with needles and they put you in an MRI machine, X-ray machine, and then somebody does their magic and hope. So our clients are asking, and you could see that trend starting in Dubai, is to design the hospitals where you consider the patients not as patients but as guests, where when you come into the hospital, you get a better experience, because science has proven that healing has direct relationship to our emotions and our feelings, and that relates to the well-being. And the future trend is to design these hospitals to be welcoming, warm, more like, as I said, visiting a family member, where the food is good. So when we design now, we bring kitchen specialists. It's not just about air quality. When you go in, you feel that you're going into a botanical garden, for example. So our landscape architects work with the space planners and the medical planners to make sure that as you go through your journey, you go through pleasant places, and that improves the quality of healthcare overall. So it is technology and emotions and how you feel about the place.
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, our time is up, so I'd like to thank you all for your insights today. I'm sure there will be more topics that would elaborate from where we kicked off today, and thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone.